Shabbat Shalom, Parashat Vayishlach. This particular parasha is very difficult to study in a proper way. The traditional view on this parasha, perhaps the way that most of us have learned since we've been very little children, casts the stage with two characters, Yaakov on one hand, Esav on the other, and the great battle between them. Esav is casted as the evil brother, the evil person that is always aiming to try to destroy Yaakov, and Yaakov as the poor righteous man that is finally coming home. Yet, a more careful examination of the psukim as they're presented, perhaps on the most elementary pshat level, might yield a very, very different perspective. And in fact, if we study Rashi carefully, we get a very different view on this parsha. You see, one of the beauties of learning Torah in a careful way is that both methodologies are legitimate and both yield important messages for us to take home. In fact, it is possible to learn this parasha in diametrically opposed manners, and both will be absolutely correct. Because it is not our task to truly know what occurred, but rather what messages and values we could take from them. An interesting examination through the eyes of Rashi shows us a very different picture. Esav indeed had a lot to be angry about. The blessing was stolen from him. He was duped. And he originally had very clear intentions, and he made it very clear. I will kill my brother, forcing Yaakov to flee away to Lavan's house. However, my friends, many years have passed since then. We are talking about over 2 decades that have long gone. By this point, Esav is a father to a great nation. He is a king. He reigns over the nation of Seir, a dominating figure. In truth, he has little that he needs from Yaakov. And yet, when Yaakov shows up on the scene, he finds out very clearly, your brother is coming toward you with 400 men. Instinctively, we think 400 men, that could only be used for an army. And if that's the case, Esav was on his way to create a battle with Yaakov. Yet it seems to be that that's not the direction that Rashi sends us to. It is very possible that Esav had a very different intent in mind. Perhaps Esav's intentions in marching towards Yaakov was to bring about what he understood was the final destiny as was portrayed in his father's blessings. Remember, Esav clearly said that he has no intention of doing anything to Yaakov until after the demise of his father. He wouldn't possibly want to cause any pain and anguish to his father. He is the ultimate, consummate model of kibud avaim. And Yitzchak is very much still alive, waiting for the return of his son in Hebron. In Esav's mind, the blessing that Yaakov took from him was in fact merely a blessing of prosperity. And this blessing of prosperity already came to its full fruition in his own personal life. Esav does not require a thing from Yaakov. The other bracha, the blessing of Abraham that was passed down to Yaakov, that was legitimate Yaakov's from the first place. Esav never challenged that bracha. It was clear that Yaakov was going to get the blessing of the future destiny of the Jewish people, that the land of Israel would be his, that his children would inherit the land. That was all very clear from the start. When Yaakov comes back finally to the land, in Esav's mind, this is the time. It is the time for Yaakov to take his rightful position in the land of Israel. Curiously, that when we look carefully at the psukim, when Esav finally meets Yaakov, he asks him, what is all this great camp that I see? Who are these children? Who are all of the people that greeted me along the way with all of the gifts that were presented to me? And Yaakov simply says, these are the gifts that Hashem granted me. He begs Esav to take these gifts from him, and Esav responds in a very curious way. All Esav says is, Yesh li rav, yehi lecha asher lach. I have plenty. Anything that is yours is yours. Says Rashi here, kan hodalo al habrachot. Esav here acknowledges and accepts that the blessings are legitimately Yaakov's. He no longer has a claim against Yaakov. In fact, Esav says to him, Nisa v'neilecha ve'elcha lenegdecha. Let us travel together. I will walk parallel to you. I will walk in your defense. It is possible to understand this entire interaction as Esav coming towards Yaakov with the objective of joining hands with him and fulfilling that destiny of the conquering of the land of Israel, where Esav will assume his future role in which he will be in defense and in protection of Am Yisrael. Sort of a support staff. In fact, this is Esav's intent, and this is why the men come with him. Yaakov, however, recognizing that the time is not right, turns to Esav and says, "Unfortunately, my children are still soft. We are still very young. We are still very weak. We are not ready yet to step up to that stage in our destiny. Perhaps the time will come. Go, my brother, go home, and I will come towards you to Seir." Why would Yaakov go to Seir? He would have gone to Hebron. Because Yaakov understood what Esav wanted. And indeed, Rashi says on that site, yes, Yaakov was not lying. He does intend to go to Seir. When? In the very distant future. V'alu moshiim lahar Tzion lishpot et arasav v'haita laHashem hamelucha. Indeed, the future destiny will play out, in which Yaakov and Esav will join hands after Esav is called and accounted for all of his deeds throughout the years. In fact, at that moment in time, there was an opportunity, but Yaakov was not ready. My friends, those opportunities will appear again and again throughout our history. It is up to us to make sure that the next time this opportunity comes around, we are strong and ready and willing to take our part in destiny and in history. Shabbat Shalom, Kol Tov.